Parak Ches, Mishnah Ches. We've now finished discussing the whole avodah of Yom Kippurim. That was the subject of the first 7 prokim. And now in the 8th parak, till now we've been discussing all the halachas of Yom Kippur, the restrictions of eating on Yom Kippur, and the other inuyim. But now we're moving on. The last 2 mishnayos of the Mesechta deal with tshuva. One of the, so far as we know, the main themes of Yom Kippur, doing tshuva. So that is the theme of these last 2 mishnayos. Says the Mishnah, Chatos v'osham vadai mechaprin. If a person did an avera where he would have to bring a chatos or an osham, then bringing that carbon itself is going to be mechaper. So when would a person bring a chatos? So the general rule is this: a chatos is going to be brought if a person by mistake did an avera where if he would have done it b'mezid on purpose, he'd be chayav koris. So if he did that avera not deliberately but b'shogeg, inadvertently, then he would bring a chatos. There are other instances where a person would bring a chatos. For example, if he entered the Beis Hamikdash while tomei, or he ate certain karbonos while tomei, or if he swore falsely under certain circumstances, he would also have to bring a chatos. Those types are called a carbon oliver yered. It depends on the means, on the financial means of the person, what he brings. If he can afford it, he brings a sheep. If not, he brings some birds, a pair of doves. And if not, he will bring a carbon mincha, a flour offering. So that is the chatos. What is an osham vadai? Well, there are 3 types of osham vadai, a definite guilt offering. There are 3 possibilities. One is the osham gazelus. An osham gazelus, if a person asks you to look after something, and then when he asks for it back, you lie and you deny it, then you swear to that effect, then you would have to bring an osham gazela. An osham me'ila is for inadvertent use of hegdish, then you would have to bring an osham me'ila. And lastly is the osham shifcha charufa. The osham shifcha charufa is a specific, very technical scenario where it involves cohabitation with a Gentile female slave who had been to the mikveh and had been betrothed by another who was mukudeshes to another man. So apart from those 3 scenarios, those are the 3 scenarios of an osham vadai. So for those 2, you just have to bring the carbon and then full tshuva is affected. Now the Bar Tanura notes that of course you need to do tshuva with it. So you've got to repent, you can't just bring the carbon. But the Bar Tanura says, ima tshuva. V'lo chosha Tana lahaskir, says the Tana didn't bother to mention it. It's a mistoma, because we're talking about a person who brings his carbon. A person who wants to bring a carbon, whether it's the asham or the chatos, is clearly wanting to do tshuva. If he wasn't regretful of what he did, he wouldn't be bringing his carbon. So that's the beginning of the Mishnah. Continues the Mishnah. Tshuva mechaperes alaveres kalos, alasei v'alosasei. Tshuva alone repents or atones for a person for averis kalos. What are averis kalos? Lesser, lighter averis. For example, alasei, all positive commandments with the exception of 2, the Torah doesn't tell me what the punishment is. So apart from Pesach and Mila, where the Torah tells us that a person would be chayav kores for not having bris Mila or for not bringing the carbon Pesach, apart from those 2, all other aseis are considered averis kalos, and a los aseh as well. Now the los aseh, the Bat Nur explains, and Farshim explain, that it's not all negative prohibitions, but rather it's any negative prohibition where the normal punishment of malchus does not apply. So for example, he says a lav hanitik la'aseh. A lav hanitik la'aseh would be that you leave over basa kodshin. You should eat it by the specific time period. But let's say you didn't, you leave it over. So the Torah tells me this becomes no, so now you've got to burn it. So there is a positive mitzvah aseh to burn it. So therefore, that positive aseh can rectify the lav. That's called the lav hanitik la'aseh. That is considered an avera kal, a lighter avera, because you can be menatik the aseh, the lav. Now, for those, tshuva is mechaper. All you have to do is to do tshuva. However, valachamuros, on more serious averas, he toile achayavu yom kippurim yichaper. That you need to wait for Yom Kippur. Only Yom Kippur, even if you do tshuva and bring whatever it is, you need to wait for Yom Kippur for that. Now, the Bar Tanura, quoting the Gemara, makes the following summary. Let's read through the Bar Tanura together. Alasei v'alosasei, hanitik lasei, tshuva mechaperes. Tshuva alone will help for that. But if you've got a lav which has malchus, there is a proper punishment for it. Tshuva toilev yom kippurim mechaper. That's considered an avera chamura. and tshuva will suspend the atonement, and Yom Kippur will then sort of wipe it away and be mechaper. And the conclusion from the Gemara on this Mishnah is as follows. If a person did an asay, or a lav hanitzik lasay, which we described before, for example, nosa, he did that b'mezid, or shogag belos asay sheish b'malchus, or he did a los asay, a lav, which involves malchus. For example, he shaves with a razor, or he eats a treif or something like that, and he did that b'shogeg, v'asa tshuva, and he does tshuva, ein azov misham ad shemochel, so he shouldn't move from there until HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mochel him. Ve'im hazid b'lav sheyesh b'malchus, if he did it on purpose, a lav sheyesh b'malchus, a lav which would involve malchus, then tshuva toiler, v'yom kippur mechaper, tshuva will suspend the atonement, but then Yom Kippur will come along and will be mechaper. Ve'im shogeg b'chayve krisus umisas, if a person was shogeg for chayve krisus, for kores, then umisas based in chatzas mechaperes imat tshuva, then the chatzas is mechaper with tshuva. Ve'im hazid bohem, but if he did it on purpose, tshuva v'yom kippurim toilin, then tshuva and Yom Kippur will suspend, will sort of affect a partial tshuva, a partial atonement. V'yisurin b'markin, then he needs yisurin as well. All different tribulations and difficulties, yisurin that a person will have, that together with tshuva and Yom Kippur will take away the aveira. V'hani Mili says the Bartanura k'shelo chillas Hashem. That's only true if there was no chilul Hashem. K'loima shelo chotzo v'hechti achem, didn't cause others to sin. But if there was a chilul Hashem involved in his aveira, ein kaparos nigmeres at yomah, then a person is only going to get a full tshuva if he dies, when he dies. That's only true if there's no soy hamishtalech, which we've described of the avoda of the Yom Kippur of the soy hamishtalech who's sent off to Azazel. When there is that soy, hu mechapel kol haveres kalas v'chamuros. That atones for all averas, which explains why there was that enormous simcha when the thread turned from red to white. It's mechaper for everything. Chutz me'avera shebein odom lechavera. Apart from avera shebein odom lechavera, she'ein nischaper lo ad shiro ases chavera, because that's always been the case. Today, and certainly today, and even in days gone by, when they had the soah hamishtalech, that tshuva and all these combinations of yisurin and karbonos and Yom Kippur and Misa, whatever, that is all well and good for all averas ben odom l'mokim. But ben odom l'chaveira, says the Bartanura, ein mischapela ad shiratzes chavera. You've got to go to your friend and ask appeasement, and then you can get the full tshuva. That is the end, the full kapara. That is the end of Mishnah Ches.